Welcome to Explorer Classroom. My name is Gibbs Kuguru. I am a National Geographic explorer and shark scientist, and I will be your host for today. At National Geographic, we believe that anyone can be an explorer and that you have the power to make a difference in the world no matter how old you are. Explorer Classroom is here to inspire you with stories from the field and connect you to our National Geographic Explorers live to answer your questions. Before we get into today's lesson, I'd like to welcome all the following classes who are joining us today, especially the Day Family Homeschool, March Academy, Knock Primary, Esparto Middle School, Monterey Highlands Elementary, Shade Gap Elementary, Mount Daniel Elementary, the Sky's the Limit Academy, the Chateau School, Fulton School, and finally, Dr. J. Michael McGrath Elementary. Welcome all. Today, our explorer is Shamier Magmoet. Shamir is an underwater documentary filmmaker, conservationist of the ocean, and freediver from Cape Town, South Africa. Shamir lives in Heideveld, Cape Town, South Africa. His current work takes him to Windmill Beach and Miller's Point, False Bay, in South Africa. Shamir is the first underwater filmmaker of color in Cape Town. He spends much of his time advocating for the ocean within his community and finding ways to connect youth with his exciting work. Shamir will be joining us live from his home base, but first, he will be taking us into the field to understand how he captures his stories while underwater. And while you're watching, pay attention to the specific tools and equipment that he uses to explore. Now, let's connect to Shamir in Cape Town.
I am Shamir, a 2023 National Geographic explorer from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm an ocean conservationist, a free diver and scuba diver, and I'm also an underwater documentary filmmaker. This is my office. Please come with me and let me show you what I do for a living. So, the equipment that I need before I can go into my office and do some work is really simple. In order to see underwater, I need my mask and snorkel. And because our water is so cold, I need a wetsuit to keep me warm so that I can stay in the water for much longer. Then I also need these long free diving fins. The purpose of these things is to hold my cameras more steady and for me to move through the water more efficiently without using a lot of energy. So because our wetsuit is so buoyant and our bodies are filled with air, we tend to float quite easily, so it will be very hard to dive. That's why we have this piece of equipment here. It's a weight belt. So what the purpose of the weight belt is basically to counter that buoyancy, to help us go underwater for much longer, but you won't sink down. So you also have to be careful not to overweight yourself. And then the final piece of my equipment is my baby over here. This is a Sony A7S3 camera inside of this big dive housing. It opens up at the back and I'll use my camera, I'll put it inside, close it up, seal it again. This protects it from the water, so it makes your camera waterproof. So don't be afraid when you see this big thing. That's all I need to go into my office and catch all those beautiful footage for you. But guys, I want you to understand something. This is for my work, but if you guys want to go dive for fun, all you need is a simple mask and a snorkel. Don't worry too much about all this gear. It's very expensive, so I would say only invest in it when you're going to be doing it super often like me and once you're going to be working with it. So that I'll say buy all this fancy gear, but you don't need all of these things. When I go out and just have fun, I simply use my mask and my snorkel, jump in the water, easy, no hassles. So yeah, let's go.
Wow, Shamir just shared all of the gear that makes it possible to do his work. We saw a mask and snorkel, wetsuit, free diving fins, weight belt, and a camera. But Shamir also mentioned that these tools specific to his work and that anyone can join him and have fun in the ocean by wearing a simple mask and snorkel. I love this. Shamir's comment made me think about all the young folks joining us today. Many of you have specific tools and equipment that you use to explore every day. For example, I often see young people in my neighborhood riding bikes to see friends or to travel to new places. So I'm curious, students, what's one tool or item that you have access to that helps you explore your community? Students, go ahead and tell your teachers, and teachers, type your students' answers into the chat. Once again, the question is, what is one tool or item that you have access to that helps you explore in your community? All right. Got a bike from Grizzlies McKay School. Jimmy says he uses a scooter. Zoe Perez says she has a camera. I love that. I also like to use my camera a lot. Grizzlies McKay School says a drone. Kaya says she's got a sailboat and feet. Now that's a winning combo. Grizzlies McKay School says a shovel. Sheila says she's got a bike. We have a dirt bike here from Miss Zackrell's class. And Isabella Paul says scooter. I like the bike ones though. I see a lot of bikes coming in here. You know, it's also just a great way to get around without creating emissions. And as someone that lives in a very bike-friendly country, I love to see it. Thank you guys for all of these brilliant answers. They're very engaging. Okay, folks, we are so excited that we have Shamir here live to share more about his work and answer some of the questions from our audience. So welcome, Shamir.
Hello, Gibbs and everybody. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, cheers. Hey, the pleasure is all ours. Shamir, your introduction of Cape Town was amazing. We noticed in your video clip that you were, working with all sorts of different equipment and gear, getting ready to go into the water. Were you able to get any good footage? And what's life like beneath the waves for you?
So every day is a spectacular day for me. It's a beautiful day and it's always something different to be seen. This is some images from where I live. This is called the kelp forest in the ocean around my city. The water is quite cold, but these kelp forests are so unique. They offer shelter for all different kinds of animals, and they don't have roots like other trees. They actually have something that's called a holdfast. So that holdfast is attached to boulders and different structures. I love being in the kelp forest because it teaches me so much lessons. For example, if you just watch this big school of fish, that simply teaches us that when we do things together and when we work together, we can get so much right. I also love spending time with one of my favorite animals in the ocean, known as the Cape fur seals. These guys might look quite big and clumsy on land, but as soon as they get into the water, they are these amazing acrobats and they move so gracefully through the water. Here you can see I flipped my camera around to make it appear as though the seals are flying through space. How cool is that? I just love these guys because they remind me of little dogs. They're so friendly and they're so curious. But remember, no matter how friendly the animals are, we always have to respect them and keep our distance from them. Another reason why I love the ocean is because I get to learn so much, especially about history. Here's a clip from myself in a shipwreck. So this shipwreck is 44 years old. Cape Town is also known as the Cape of Storms. And one day this ship was supposed to go to Japan. A storm hit it onto the rocks and it went down. But on the good side now, it's become a home for so many animals and plants in the ocean. And it's now one of my favorite playgrounds. Another animal that I love, and it's probably one of my favorites, is the shark. What comes to your mind when you hear the word shark? I know it causes a lot of fear in people, but these are actually one of the only animals that you can find in Cape Town, South Africa. And it's so cute It gets its name from the pattern on its body. It's called a pajama cat shark because it looks like it's wearing a striped pajamas. How cute is that? Guys, I want you to remember that when you hear the word shark, it's not monsters that's out in the ocean trying to get us. It's just mistaken animals, but in their natural habitat, they are so beautiful. They are so shy. They're graceful. So there's no need to really be afraid of them as long as we respect them and keep a nice distance from them. That's my typical day out in the office, Gibbs.
Man, yes, you really touched me there, Shamir. Like, absolutely beautiful message. And then you topped it off with a cherry on the cake with a shark. I mean, for me, I'm in heaven. I wish I was with you with these beautiful pajama cat sharks. They're honestly as cute and cuddly as a shark can get. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, they are incredible.
Yeah. So not all of us can film underwater like Shamir, but at National Geographic, we believe that all of our young explorers out there are storytellers at heart too. So I'm curious, what true stories would you like to tell? Do you like to talk about sports or maybe your family, your friends, or an issue in your community that you want to fix? Look at the following slide and choose a theme from the list that best represents a story or stories that you are interested in sharing with others. Type the letter that you choose in the chat, and you can choose more than one answer. So once again, the question is, what true stories would you like to tell? If you don't see an answer that you like from the provided, don't worry. You can always type your own ideas into the chat. All right, I'm stoked. What do you guys got from me? All right, Grizzlies McKay School says friends and family. That's a good one. You know, that's what those are your roots. You got to make sure you shout out your peeps. Andres R says hobbies. Andres, what kind of hobbies are we talking about here? Do tell. Kaya says A, local wildlife. Um, Grizzlies McKay School says D, favorite sports. What kind of sports we want? Are we looking at there, guys? Ms. Zachar's class says B, protecting your community. Oh man, I believe in that 100%. For anywhere from picking up trash to helping cross the street some old folks. Do what you guys can. Some people say games and video games. I love video games. Video games are a lot of fun. They help help with your hand-eye coordination and also keep you entertained. Grizzlies McKay School also says martial arts. Oh my gosh, I love that. I do not know any martial arts, but I would love to learn. So you guys are inspiring me there. I also see Andres Cervantes says D and F. So favorite sports and then games and video games. Sounds like you got a pretty busy schedule there. Um, all right, seeing everything. I think we've got just about everything except favorite singer celebrity, unless I missed it. But either way, I love these answers, guys. keep them keep them coming, and I love to see that inspiration there. Shamir, so we've learned how you film underwater and what stories you've gathered out while exploring. Now, we are curious about what led you to do this kind of work and, what are you up to right now?
Well, I think what led me to this work is a lot of people think that I've been diving for my whole life, but that's not the case. I only started diving recently, like 7 years ago. And because of this reason, I now decide to go into the ocean so that I can capture stories and tell everybody about it. Because the journey was so difficult for me, I now run a non-profit organization along with my friends called See the Bigger Picture. And now we introduce local youngsters, exactly the same ages as most of you guys watching, how to learn how to snorkel. We teach them how to use underwater cameras so that they can do little experiments. And we also teach them how to become young citizen scientists. So an example of a citizen scientist, for those of you that don't know, I think all of us are citizen scientists. For example, if you have a light in your room that's not working, You have seen that the light is not working, so it means you're doing an observation. So now you have to see why the light is not working. So that's called an investigation. So you go on and switch the lights on and see if it's working. Then you go to some other rooms, switch the lights on and see if those lights are working. Now you have to draw up a conclusion. You have to go tell your parents, Mom, Dad, the light is not working. I've tried switching it on, but it's not happening. Maybe we should replace it with a new light. So that is actually you now a citizen scientist. This is what we teach the kids here in South Africa. Most of the times, equipment is expensive, getting to the beach is expensive. So we do all these things for the children free of charge. And I think one of the important things that we offer is education. In our schools, in the majority of our schools in my city, we don't have ocean activities or subjects to teach you about the ocean. So this is where we come along. We offer all of these things free of charge for the children so that they might grow up, live their dreams as young explorers. And now they can also take the same opportunity and teach their other friends and even their family members. So this is what I do when I'm not filming.
Oh, stunning. Shamir's life experiences have led to powerful opportunities for youth by breaking down barriers and opening doors for young people to experience the ocean. I mean, I wish when I was a kid I had an ocean hero like Shamir to guide me into the ocean for some adventures. We also have many educators joining us today who run clubs, sports teams, and even mentorship programs to open doors and create opportunities for young people. Students, we'd love to hear from you. How do you think you can help young people your age, younger, or even older? What could you do to offer to your peers an opportunity that they might otherwise miss? For example, I met this kid. His name is Sven. He's a friend of mine. He's about 11 or 12. And I was showing him all the cool new shark research technology that I was building. And, as I was teaching him some stuff, he was also teaching me some stuff. And I had to think, actually, I got to be careful because this kid's probably going to take my job. Anyways, I hope you're out there, Sven, somewhere. Hello, hello. Okay, once again, the question is, what could you do to offer your peers an opportunity that they might otherwise miss? Share your answers in the chat. Cool, cool. What do we have here, guys? What opportunities are you going to share with someone in your community that doesn't necessarily have that opportunity? From Ms. Zacro's class, they say, we can tell our friends about recycling and how important it is. Kaya says, invite them to go on a walk. That's a good one, especially because you just get free exposure to all the nature that is all around you. And you can see all sorts of cool things in your environment. I'd love to see these answers come in still, guys. What can we do to help other people in our, oh, here's a good one. Invite them to go somewhere nice from Alec. That's a good one. Grizzlies McKay School says pollution is bad for the earth. Indeed, it is. That is something that we can do to help someone on this, which is this planet, which is much, much older than us. Kaya says, go on an adventure in the forest. I love forest adventures. As a shark scientist, gotta say, the forest is still a pretty cool place. Narek Tertayan says, scuba diving and hiking. Zoe Perez says, take them to take care of our earth and stop pollution. 100%, guys. That is where we need to go. Let's go out into our environment together as friends and do our part to take care of it. Nature needs all the help we can get, especially at the rate that we are destroying it. All right, great work. And thank you for participating and sharing your answers today. As per usual, every single week, you guys are inspiring me. So thank you for that. Your communities are lucky to have you. And thank you to Shamir for bringing all of us into the field for an incredible look at your work. We've had so much fun learning about an underwater filming adventure and how filmmaking is done. So thank you for that. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Gibbs. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Shamir. Now we are going to kick off the Q&A portion of the show. So if you are watching online, send us your questions into the chat bar. We record them all as they're sent in, so please send each answer only one time. And teachers, please let us know who's asking the question so we can give your class or student a shout out. If you are an on-screen guest, get ready with a nice loud voice and I'll tell you when it's your turn. All right, from YouTube comes a question from Ryan. He asks, how deep have you gone under the water?
Good question, Ryan. So I do free diving mostly, and I also do scuba diving. So the deepest I went while free diving, for those of you that don't know, free diving is just holding your breath and diving with no artificial air. So the deepest I went holding my breath was 25 meters deep.
Oh, that's
Uh,
stunning.
I don't know what that is in feet. I don't know if the children
That's like
measures in
50 or no, that's more than 50 feet. That's like 60 something, 60 to 70 feet, I think.
70 feet on a single breath. And then on scuba diving, the deepest I went was 40 meters.
Whoa. I think that's about 120 feet. You were way down there. That's amazing. All right. Our next question comes from YouTube, which is Roger from QCVA. How do you capture pictures of animals without scaring them away? That's a great question.
That is a great question. So for us that normally goes diving, I think it's the same with it's just got to do with respect, respecting the animals, respecting the surrounding. So normally what we do is we try to study animal behavior. And when they are on the calmest, we try to slide in the water gently, not to scare anything or anything at all. Um, the ocean is constantly moving. So when we free diving, we try to move much less because you don't have to move if everything is moving. And once you're down there, we're not making a sound, we're not blowing bubbles, nothing is loud. So when animals see you, they're actually very curious and it looks like they're thinking to themselves, what is this guy doing here? And they come up close to you gently. And because we're not moving a lot and we're not making a noise, that beautiful connection starts happening right there. And this is how we get close to them in order to film them or photograph them without scaring them.
Mm. So it sounds like you have a lot of control over your body and your mind so that you can be right there in that moment.
And it takes a lot of practice to get there.
Yeah. All right. From YouTube, Troy, Linnea, and Jay ask, do you edit your own footage? And how did you get to work with National Geographic?
Wow, that is a good question.
Yeah.
So most of my footage that I use on social media and on my own YouTube, I edit that myself. But for films or for productions, they normally have their own editors. So I will just go out and film, then hand over the footage, and an editor will do all his magic. And the second part of that question, how did I get into National Geographic? Um, National Geographic has eyes everywhere. So if you guys are doing incredible work in your communities, National Geographic will see the work that you're doing and they will reward you. With hard work, you're going to achieve anything, guys. They saw the work that I was doing in my community with all the youngsters, teaching them about the ocean. And then they reached out to me. I was nominated for an award. I was one of the winners. And today I am a National Geographic Explorer.
Beautiful story. And so what you're trying to tell us is you were doing the work before National Geographic found you.
Yes, I'm very new to National Geographic. I became an explorer last year, but I've been doing this work for the past 6 years already.
Hmm. All right. Another question from YouTube. India is curious. What is the scariest experience you have had underwater? Scariest experience.
Wow. That's a great question. Everybody's asking such amazing questions. I
Yeah.
think the scariest experience, and I've had a few, was not with animals. It was when I explore shipwrecks and caves and swimming under rocks to the other side, filming the life inside of there. Um, so when you go through these things, there's always a certain amount of surge, like the water is pulling you and pushing you. And everybody must remember that I'm doing this while holding my breath. So there was a few occasions when I'm going through either a shipwreck or a cave, and then before I reach the exit, the water pulls you right back. And that is such a frightening experience because no matter how hard you try to swim out, the water is holding you. But all these things learn you, you know. So the next time it happened, you learn how to just stay there, stay calm, and because you know the water's going to push you back out. So you just have to try to hold your breath a little longer. Everything is going to be okay. There's no need to panic. And then the water pushes you back out. And it's also a very exhilarating feeling when it happens.
Mm. The ocean is herself a powerful animal, but going with the flow can help you a lot more than you think it will. All right, another question from YouTube comes from third graders at Pond Elementary School. How many different types of sharks have you seen? I'm about to get jealous.
Probably not as much as you. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I don't have an exact number, but in Cape Town where I live, we are home to so many different species of sharks and some that you won't even find anywhere else in the world. Um, I really don't know the number, but I've seen a lot of sharks. But there's many more that I haven't seen, and that's on my list.
Junior, I think it's time you and I go on a sharky adventure.
Definitely, my brother.
All right. From YouTube, Paige asks, what is it like to speak to a large audience? Hmm, good question,
That's
Paige.
a great question, Paige. So remember we were speaking about fears? That's one of the biggest fears, speaking in front of big audiences. I'm normally underwater where it's peaceful and quiet, but when you get up on that stage, it's very frightening and it can be very intimidating. But I think we all know the reason why we have to stand on that stage so that we can inspire children like you and show you that one day you guys can also stand on these stages. So this is why we do it, no matter how afraid we are and how shy we are. We just realize why we're doing it.
I love that. Thank you, Shamir. Nothing wrong with being a bit shy and scared. All right. Question from YouTube. Deanna is wondering, how does a snorkel work?
That's a great question. So the snorkel is simply to use when you're laying on the surface. The mask covers your eyes and your nose. So when your nose is covered, the only way to breathe is through your mouth. And the snorkel, the one side of the snorkel goes into your mouth. And now you're just breathing through your mouth as per normal, as we are right now. The snorkel will be above the surface, out of the water. So while we're laying and looking down into the water, we will still be able to breathe with our face in the water, trying to see all the cool animals.
Mm, it's basically just like a long straw, huh? Goes into the top of to the top of the water.
Exactly. Sorry, I just want to add on, Gibbs.
Yeah.
Uh, so guys, remember the snorkel is only to use above the water with that little edge outside of the water. When you're diving down, we normally remove the snorkels from our mouths because we're holding our breath. You can't breathe through your snorkel while you're underwater. It's only to use on the surface. Very important, guys.
Yep. That's a very good distinction. Another question from YouTube, Lake and Park School. How far out into the ocean do you dive? And do you stay close to shore?
So that really depends on where I'm going or what I want to film. It depends on the different dive sites. So normally at home, when I'm filming in the Cal Forest, um, most of the spots are close to shore, but the ocean goes from shallow, then it makes like a sudden drop off. So you don't have to go very far to get to the dive sites. But then when I am out diving with, for example, with dolphins or with whale sharks or with whales, we actually take very long trips out into the ocean. So you find yourself like in very deep water and it's just blue. Some of these trips can take like up to 30 to 40 minutes just to get out in the deep. But at home, here where I live, most of our dive sites are close to shore.
Oh man, you get to see all those dolphins. I gotta say, as a shark scientist, I might love dolphins a little bit too much. All right. Last question here is what final message do you have for all the explorers and future out there?
That is a very good question. I want everybody to listen up, children and teachers alike. I think we must just remember no matter where we come from or what our situation is, with hard work, we can rise above anything and we can reach all of our dreams and achieve them. No matter what you do in life, whether it's being in nature, whether it's working in the ocean, anything that you do in life, it takes hard work, everybody. So without hard work, we won't, it's like a test. You have to prepare for a test that you're going to write at school, and then the test becomes a bit easier. So in life, we have to prepare for everything. We have to work hard. Even if we fail sometimes, that's okay. It's okay to fail, but we have to get up again and just work much harder the next time. That is my advice for everybody.
Here, here, hard work. My dad would love you, Shamir. Thank you again to Shamir and all the students and teachers watching. We have a very exciting Explorer Classroom season planned, so please register at natgeoed.org/Explorer Classroom. When you register, you can request a chance to be featured up on screen with us. Dive back into the ocean with us next week as we learn about black coral forests in Indonesia with explorer and scuba diver Giovanni Kimienti and see this incredible organism up close. Have a great day, everyone. Stay curious and keep exploring. See you next time. Ciao. Yeah.